Greetings, everyone. Today is November the 10th, 2017, and I'm going to be reading to you and commenting on an article I wrote for Temple Doors in the 1999 very last issue of my periodical ever. It's called Terran Lux and the Lady of the Midnight Sun. Now, this was based on a sacred journey that my former husband Simeon and I facilitated to various ports of call within Europe in 1998. So I'm going to begin reading, and I will stop to comment along the way. The mystery of the Black Madonna, or Dark Virgin, has been with us historically for many centuries. These statues and figures have been found in various spiritual religious centers throughout the world, and it is conjured that their meaning predates Christianity. Mythic writers and historians have followed the thread of the Dark Virgin back into the ancient pagan era when she represented the goddess at the center of the earth. She was called Kore, that's K-O-R-E, by some ancients, an underworld guardian of the inner sanctum. The record of Thoth, my Akashic interpretation, agrees with this, revealing further that the original Black Madonnas were spiritually imbued with healing and transformative energies to aid humanity in releasing its broken bonds with the earth. In the early Christian times, she became the veiled or dark mother, carrying upon her earthen lap the Sun King, child of her union with the cosmic divine. Thoth has revealed a specific earth grid, which he calls the Terran Lux. That would be Terran, and then the next word is Lux, or midnight interior earth sun. It was installed by Melchizedek in an overlord function, not during, I'm turning the page here, not during incarnations. What did I say here? And during his actual incarnations, around 5000 BC. Although goddess sites of veneration existed long before then, this grid is composed of original sites where the Black Madonna statues were placed in order to summon the Lady of the Midnight Sun, the most ancient goddess who hailed from the center of the earth. These sacred nodes on the Terran Lux are powerful centers of concentrated creatrix or creational feminine energy. The creational realm is the first grail from which the earthen nature of the world developed. In order to bring the power of the universal template for our return to light into actualization within the earth continuum, the creational realm of the beginning time must be brought forth and wed with the present evolution of the earth. This creational realm can also be equated as Medusa, the goddess of the threshold. Now, I believe this is a rather important point because now this was written, in 1999, and now it's 2017, so that's quite a few years in the past, as the crow flies. And so when we look at the world circumstance now, the need to get back in touch with our creational realm so that we can move forward, not backward, but forward to the new earth hologram. But in order to do so, we must get in touch with the beginnings, It's like not to go back and live in the past, but to understand and feel the connection of the purpose of our whole life streaming. And I'm not speaking just of this incarnation, of course, the humanity life streaming. So this is an important point, I feel. From the Woman's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets by Barbara C. Walker, Medusa is described as the serpent goddess of the Libyan Amazons, representing female wisdom. She was the destroyer aspect of the triple goddess called NEAAF in Egypt, Ath-Ena or Athene in North Africa. Her inscription at Sais called her mother of all the gods, whom she bore before childbirth existed. She was past, present, and future, all that has been, that is, and that will be. She said, "No mortal has yet been able to lift the veil that covers me," because she was death, and to see her face to face was to die. She was veiled also because she was the future, which always wears a veil. A female face surrounded by serpent hair was an ancient, widely recognized symbol of divine female wisdom and equally of the wise blood that supposedly gave women their divine powers. That's the end of quote. And now I say, in the context of this article, Medusa is not death, but pre-life, the crucible from which elemental life arises and is received by the spiritual animation and wisdom. The Grail King's path to kingship involves accessing this prenatal primordial state and subsequently opening the pathways of its illuminal birthing into the current time realm for the planetary consciousness to access at large. The Terran Lux grid creates a portal into the central sonatoma, Holy of Holies of the Earth, which registers vibrationally as the Magda archetype, or the feminine center, negative pole, of the matter realm. The central sun or atoma of the planet is a balanced masculine and feminine dynamic in its entirety. Within the relativistic perception of the surface Earth experience, the outer shell of the central sonatoma is masculine, while the inner white core is feminine. However, if one could view this white core, it would appear black, as it is masked by an inversion of its light atoms, a type of black hole phenomena. Thus the name springs forth, the Lady of the Midnight Sun. Other archetypal expressions which have close similarity to the Black Madonna would be Ashera, Isis, Hera, also the more ancient Amazonian Hera, Kor, Magda, Mari, Ananin, Anna, and Anna. There's two spellings there, A-N-N-A and A-N-A, Hana, and Sophia. These are only the major ones. The Kali archetype also has a resonance with the Black Madonna. The primary similarity being that they both hold the primeval power of dissolution, which precedes recreation. However, Kali is not as culturally and archetypally multifaceted as is the Madonna, the Black Madonna. The Black Madonna archetype represents specific nodes on the goddess grid, which incorporate cross-cultural consciousness codes that have come together into a coherent expression at specific points in time. There may have been many holy orders involved in the continuing installation, maintenance, and perpetuation of the Terran Lux grid throughout history. The first, it's not there may have been, there have been. I don't know where I got that other word. Okay, there have been many holy orders. The first were the Druids, after the original installation by Melchizedek as an overlord. Also involved were the Knights Templar, the Cathars, the Caldri. Additional information on the Caldri follows in the section on chart. And to some extent the Culdees. Several pagan orders played their role as well. Groups such as Ninan and Kemal. That's N-I-N-A-N-E, and the Kemal, K-H-E-M-A-L. The latter, while being pagan, were also of early Hebraic origin. Many of the Kemal's beliefs and practices influenced early Hebraic mystery work and religion. The place of the divine feminine, primal feminine energy in this latter instance was given the name of Asherah, which translates as a grove. Historically, Asherah is also said to be the Semitic name for the great goddess. But through the record of Thoth, this name can be traced back much further in time, all the way to the Rutan Atlanteans. Remember, Rutan is that ascended isle. In the spiritual center of the surface Earth's Terran Lux grid is a tripole, or Ulu. That's I-L-U, an ancient name meaning connected. The Ulu, is it I-L-Ilu? Ilu? Yeah, it's more of an Ilu than Ulu. Sorry about that. Ilu. The Ilu holds a plane of connective energy and serves as a rotational field that adjusts energies in the grid before they interact with the center vault. The sacred geophysical sites on the Earth which form this tripole are Montserrat in Spain, Chartres in France, and Lourdes in France. The center vault is at Glastonbury, Tor, in England. This matrix functions as a pulsing, breathing energy moving from the outer nodes into the three-poled Ilu, which then creates a spinning field around the center pole. From the Ilu, the energies are fed into the center of at Glastonbury and then into the center of the planet to circulate back again into other outer nodes. Well, of course, this format would have been created long before buildings existed in these locations or even countries existed. But things have a way of formulating. In other words, it draws the attraction, it draws the sacred history of Glastonbury to that node, the sacred history and the raising of the cathedral at Chartres to that node. These things happen because they are drawn by the synergy of the earth, of Gaia, the mother, and humanity to perform the sacred geometries and actions that exemplify and raise up these energies into circulation by humanity on the planet. I would also say that these points that are given are the major ones in the Terran Lux, but there would be many, many other points. You know, it's a path. It's not like jumping from one place to another. There's a path, and on that path there would have to be many points. At Montserrat, Chartres, and Lourdes, the Black Madonna statues are present. At Lourdes, her presence is in the form of two statues in the Lourdes New Parish Church. Both of these statues represent the Lady of Montserrat. One is an exact duplicate, as witnessed by the inscriptions at their base. The record of Thoth reveals that these statues in Lourdes are rather recent additions, but in more ancient times, an original Black Madonna statue was located there, having been eventually destroyed by those who superstitiously feared her presence in that past age. The central vault of the Terran Lux grid at Glastonbury Tor does not now contain, nor has it ever, a statue of the Black Madonna. Rather, this point is held by the suspended form of Torhana, who is the vibrational presence in semi-living flesh of the Black Madonna in the earth. Briefly, Torhana is an Egyptian Atlantean priestess whose body form lies suspended within the Tor in a dimension slightly removed from our own. Like Saint Bernadette of Lourdes, whose uncorrupted body is displayed at the Hospice of Nevers, France, Torhana lies sleeping in a crystal casket beneath the Tor, holding the veiled divine feminine presence in genetic form for the earth. Of course, Torhana is still basically alive. I mean, the genetics are. Bernadette most certainly isn't. It's just that her flesh has not been corrupted. As an earth and grail dynamic, the Terran Lux holds the codes for grail blood patterning within a pure earth energy context, from whence arises the Eve Isis Mari passage of the goddess, and thus, I'm going to turn a page here, the natural grail through the evolutionary movement of the feminine negative polarity in the earth. In other words, as an earth and grail dynamic, the Terran Lux grid is a medium for storage, updating, and transmission of pure grail genetic codes. As these codes go through the evolutionary movement necessary to bridge the alpha omega points on the earth, the development of the archetypal goddess, as witnessed in the Eve Isis Mari progression, are representative of the feminine and thus negative polarity movement inherent in the overall planetary evolution. Of course, when we're using the word negative here, we're talking about polarities, positive and negative. On the other hand, the primary faces of archetypal goddess seeking to maintain, restore that balance upon the earth. I'm not sure, that doesn't seem to be a correct sentence. Oh well. The consciousness represented in the Terran Lux grid originated as a result of specific souls whose sentient awareness triggered very deep primal memory fields within their communal timelines, going all the way back into the heart of their soul's beginnings with the current human race. These individuals' personal and tribal spiritual processes, dream time, shamanic, etc., served as the trigger mechanism for those deep primal memories. Ultimately, the consciousness mechanism of this grid is meant to revivify the blood consciousness of mankind through continuing revolution of the divine heart within matter. Now, when we speak of grids and what they're doing, we're thinking, well, I'm not noticing that. I don't see anything going on. What's happening? This Terran Lux grid, I've never heard of it before. It's not really doing anything, is it? Because I can't see it, I can't feel it. But it really is. All of these things are doing things. This is what is creating our hologram. If we weren't so, as a unit of beings, so disconnected from the true workings of the planet and what the true workings of our own inner being, we would see an entirely different world here. It would already be the new earth, you know? So we have to realize we're not striving to get to the new earth. We're striving to open the seals so that we see and we know and we experience the heart ascension. And yes, at some point, all of this, ascends, so to speak, into another vibrational level, but only after we have eyes to see on certain levels of being and we experience the heart ascension. And that is what is being spoken about here. The consciousness represented in the Terran Lux grid originated as a result of specific souls whose sentient awareness triggered very deep primal memory fields within their communal timelines, going all the way back into the heart of their soul's beginnings with the current human race. These individuals' personal and tribal spiritual processes, dream time, shamanic, etc., served as the trigger mechanism for these deep primal memories. Ultimately, the consciousness mechanism of this grid is meant to revivify the blood consciousness of mankind through the continuing revelation of the divine heart within matter. In other words, we're all so busy thinking we've got to escape matter. We're afraid to die, but we don't want to be here. So it's kind of a conundrum, it's like I don't know what to do about that. But so we say, oh, matter, no, matter's bad, spirit's good, matter's bad, spirit's good. But matter is part of spirit. According to Thoth, it's all spirit, all of it. The trash in your dumpster is spirit. It's all spirit. It's just that we're separating it out. We're densifying it. And we're saying, oh, this density here, it's dense, so it can't be spirit. But it is. It's just denser spirit, So it's saying through the continuing revelation of the divine heart within matter. That's what it's talking about. The revelation that the divine heart is everywhere. And the divine heart is in matter. We don't have to escape matter to receive our heart consciousness. The primary factor which triggers or attenuates the dynamics of the Terran Lux grid at its various nodes upon the earth is the process of veneration, awareness, levied by sentient souls at the various Terran Lux grid sites. Any point on the grid which no longer contains that veneration dynamic becomes dormant. In like manner, the ebb and flow of that sentient veneration can also alter the dynamics of any given point in the grid. Specifically, even comparatively modern Black Madonna statues can hold their charge within the grid. The active sentient veneration dynamic is much more relative to the power of any particular node than to the age, history, or origins of the statues at those locations. The Terran Lux grid is able to revivify the cosmic mother, son, and sunchild within the Earth's experience once again through the creation of a pillar of resurrection in the heart-mind of all those who join the veneration dynamic themselves and are awakened by the intensity of the sacred presence at these Terran Lux sites. All sites on the Terran Lux grid that contain Black Madonnas are currently being venerated. These are numerous. The book, The Cult of the Black Virgin by Ian Begg, lists thousands of these in the gazetteer at the back of the book. The few pages before the gazetteer have some maps of a large section of Europe pinpointing these locations. Gosh, I don't even have that book anymore. I need to get another one. I'd love to see that. We now more closely examine the 4 points of the Terran Lux grid we have thus far revealed, beginning with Montserrat, Spain. So this ends the introduction. I'm going to break these up into several videos because it is going to get long otherwise. However, I do want to say that, and this is kind of a separate topic because I wanted to talk about it separately, but I was just honored to be able to meet in person Peter Shampoo, I have to say that right, it's not shampoo, Shampoo, and his lovely partner, Kate. And they were at William Bueller's gathering and gave a whole talk on the grids. His work with grids is really incredible, certainly equal to William Bueller's and different, but synergistic with his. And I was just amazed at what he brought up. And this is the kind of work he's doing, they are doing together, going to all these locations and actually bearing certain energy things and working with the different dynamics that are involved. I also want to apologize. I didn't. Her name is Martha, not Kate. I don't know where I got that. It's Martha May, his Peter's partner, and she does some really beautiful work with healing therapy, but is also a great co-worker with Peter in the grid work that they do together. So in any case, I was just amazed by what he brought through, or has been working with for years and years and years. And he had some very interesting things to say and show about this Crestone Baca area, you know, which to me has been revealed to me since way, way back as the location, now the location of the sacred An and many other things. Of course, those of you who follow my material know all of that, so I'm not going to go into it. But he also addressed that. And there were some pictures that on his map that he took that I think I do want to share, because one of them has to do with Madonna herself as being superimposed in the land right here in this whole region. And I thought that was really amazing. So I want to get into that with those before this series is completed and ask him if this might be some kind of a connective location with the Black Virgin, because the ziggurat, and as you know, I recently climbed it there with my hardy crew, and again, after 17 years of absence, and planted a skull there and did some work there that I felt very guided to do, even though it was physically difficult for me. I was more than willing to do it. And the that location connects to Glastonbury, according to Thoth, interdimensionally. You know, the Tor Hill and the Ziggurat Tor, you know, they connect. So I'm thinking, now that I saw the images that he posted on the Madonna of Guadalupe being superimposed here, I'm thinking that there is a connection with the Black Virgin energy from Glastonbury to or the Terran Lux energy from Glastonbury to here in Crestone. So I'm going to look at that, and we'll explore that before this series is over. So right now I'm going to end this or conclude this intro, and we will continue with the next video.